evening, everyone, and welcome to the Manchester United Agenda on a day where both me and Monday have been extremely busy. Isn't that right, Monday?
Yeah, some more, but it's not competition bath time. I mean, I think we've just about evened it up regarding being busy today at work. I've done 12 hours, but less strenuous. But I know your job's demanding, and you've done intense. It's quite. I don't know if you've done 12 hours, but it's been intense from
it's been a long day. Someone effed up on my team, so we all had to come together and cover her, which is what a good team does. And because of that, I haven't really prepared a huge amount for tonight. Because
you know what makes me laugh about you, bath time? You say, this is the thing, and the guys in the comments will understand me as well. You say you haven't prepared much, but I've just looked backstage. You've done a load. I mean, you are such a perfectionist. You want things done to the T. To me, that would be like, boy, watch this. I'll sit back and say, smoke a pipe, say, look what I've done. You're like, no, I haven't done enough. I like your style, bro. I like your style.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that I wanted to do more because Monday is normally like the eye test and things, and it's like our flagship show and stuff. But I didn't have the time today, and as always, we're also quite flexible here. So if anyone in chat has anything that they really want to talk about, I've no issues kind of spinning off and discussing that. But I will preface it by saying that, like, everyone knows that Old Trafford roof leaks, right? And it was criminal what we saw yesterday with the waterfalls and stuff. But is anyone really surprised? I don't want to make that the main topic of the show, a sort of architectural analysis of a stadium we all know isn't fit for purpose.
Well, from my point of view, I think the Arsenal fans, what the footage I've seen is from Arsenal fans sitting up there singing funny songs, mocking the stadium, and wow, everything's just falling down. All the rain's coming through. It's absolute. We not only did we lose, but we got mocked and laughed at. It's a bit like that guy from Simpsons. Ha 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 ha. The little bully kid.
Yeah, my thoughts on The Simpsons on Monday. I'm not a fan.
We've never had this conversation.
I do not like The Simpsons at all.
Why not?
Well, because I've seen the early seasons, which I think were really good, where Homer Simpson wasn't a complete idiot. He was inherently a selfish man who did his best for his family. And I found a lot of it quite touching. And then as the years went on, it just developed into one-note characters that I found really boring, like that guy who just goes, ha ha, or the next-door neighbour that just... He stopped being a character and just became like he's a born-again Christian and things. And find it reductive and boring.
Ned Flanders, you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's surprised. I mean, if I asked you how long it's been going on for, when the Simpsons first start, could you give me
40 years or something?
You think it's 40 years? It's a long time.
40 years would be 1984. It can't be then.
It's not 84.
It's got to be like 1990 or something.
Yeah, maybe just pre-1990, around that time, I reckon. But I'm surprised by that because sometimes I think I was pretty new to Simpsons, but it's old. It's an old show. And that's why I say it.
The two oldest, I think, apart from like the News at 10 or something, I think it's Doctor Who and Coronation Street.
Well, maybe Coronation Street. Doctor Who's sporadic, isn't it? They do a series and then it doesn't come on the air. There was a period it didn't come on the air for yonks. But Coronation Street, maybe, that's from the 60s, I imagine.
I think it's the 50s.
Oh, the 50s. Wow.
So. I'm not sure. But look, some of our little monsters in chat can check that for me. But should we see who we've got this evening?
Indeed.
All right. We got Ed Mayhem. Oi, guys. Oi, Ed.
How you doing, Ed?
We got Bilal. Good evening to you, Bilal. Someone, and we had to help her. Yes, we had to help her. But I would have helped him as well, or something in between, because we're a team and we have to pull together. It's the same thing that happens on the United Agenda or on the football pitch. You have to help your teammates because you can't be perfect all the time and mistakes happen. Yeah. We deserve better. Eric Dunhag. My feeling, unfortunately, is even if Hag wins the FA Cup, they will sack him. Shame, really, but he's gone. That's quite a turnaround. We deserve better. I've noticed in the press recently that Neville, Rooney and Keane have all come out saying give him more time. And the sort of consensus is because Neville is on the stadium redevelopment committee, that maybe Neville knows something.
Yeah, maybe. You've mentioned this before. I found it interesting. I really don't know. I mean, if we put a poll up or something, I reckon people would say, yeah, he's definitely gone, but it won't be too sure. I think what you're saying here about the FA Cup final, if we get really embarrassed, it could be curtains for him, I reckon. But if we won't go down fighting like we did yesterday, it may be. I don't know. But then again, I think by half time you're suggesting the decision's already been made about Ten Hag. But I just don't know. Whatever it is, this is what I like about the club now. They're not revealing too much. Sometimes so many clues are put out there, and it's curtains for somebody. But we're still unsure whether he's staying or going.
Well, the big clue, right? The big clue, and what I think they should have done is give him a new contract. I think that when they came in, if they wanted to keep him, he should have been given a new contract. Everyone knows Ten Hag is here for 2 seasons or a season or whatever, and we can go from there. But it appears that they're trying to get other stuff in order. They're getting my mate Dan Ashworth in. They've got Blanc, who's come in as like interim CEO or something. They've got Omar Barada. It looks to me that what they're doing is they're trying to get the mid-level management stuff all sorted out. But they've done a full-on audit of everything that's wrong with the club, and they're trying to get the right people into the right departments. And for the time being, they might think that Ten Hag isn't that much of an issue, because they know they can't really win anything with the squad. And whatever you say about Ten Hag, he's a good cup manager. He's got us to 3 cup finals. We're not going to be challenging for the league. The big thing is the Champions League, is that he wasn't able to deliver Champions League. And what I would imagine that they're thinking about is I think that they will probably want like the best manager and the best squad when we've either upgraded Old Trafford or moved. And that will be where they want everything in place. And maybe Ten Hag just isn't the biggest problem at the moment, and they're happy to let it ride for a bit, because there's no outstanding candidate in world football to take over at the moment, is there?
Not really. Everyone's got a question mark about him. Even they were talking about Thomas Tuchel the other day, and I'm sure people say, "Oh yeah, he's won Champions League. He's done this and that," but there's still question marks about him. I don't think the fan base would really be happy completely with him. Like, he's the guy to lead us to the light, and with his staff and all that kind of thing. Exodus, freedom from captivity that we're in now. I don't think that he's that guy. I think it's going to be someone. It's got to be someone, like you said, special when they come in. I felt with Ten Hag's reputation before he came to United, I felt that he was the right fit at the time, and it's his first big job outside of Holland, obviously. But he's got to learn on the job, and I think he's learned a lot. He's still young enough. I think he's still got a lot.
He's older than Pep.
Is he older than Pep? I thought he's just bald. One of these guys that balded early.
No, he's a little bit older than you would think.
Well, all right, I'm going to have a guess. I think, because I know he played a bit of football as well. I think he's older than me. I would say he's 54.
That sounds perfect. 1970. Yeah, 50. I've just checked. He's 54.
Oh wow! Oh, I had no idea, but I'm just looking at his face, and I remember I've seen pictures of him with hair when he used to play football. But it does age you, doesn't it? Management. Mr. B has got a picture of Ten Hag on his screen, hasn't he, behind him, and the picture looks a lot younger than he does look now. Maybe there's a few more frown lines.
Yeah,
cool. But yeah, 54. He looks okay.
All right. Well, Bilal is saying we're going to batter Newcastle. We'll do the Newcastle stuff towards the end of the show. But I like your confidence. Nelson Muntz. He's a left back at Lyon, and also is he the bully in The Simpsons?
Yes, Nelson is the bully in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. And Ed is saying it was on late 80s on the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah. Ed, I met Ed Mayhem. Ed, you can't be that old to remember all that, can you? I thought Ed looks about 20 in his 20s or early 30s.
Amanda, you're always stunned when people know things. Like, people know stuff. Maybe it's a big Simpsons
Tracy Ullman, who if you ask someone who's in their 20s or 30s about Tracy Allman, they say, who? You know, I'm surprised by that, Ed. Maybe
he's also saying that Corrie was the 60s.
He's been Googling because he's got two things right in the space of minutes. He's doing all that.
Okay. All right, Bilal, I can't answer that question. Right, Sigmund is saying, don't you duck on Europe this year and redevelop the stadium next season in order not to lose out on potential lost revenue? Like, Sigmund, I'm not a CEO or anything like that, and neither is Monday. I'm gonna shock you. But the thing is that from the research that we've done over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a couple of articles in the MEN and things about Populous and stadium redevelopment. And one thing that sort of is continuous throughout all the different plans is that United have to leave Old Trafford, regardless if it's a redevelopment or if it's a new stadium build. And that, unless we go to Wembley or Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, I suppose, we're going to lose out on a lot of revenue. Like, we're going to lose out on day trippers. We're going to lose out on all sorts of stuff. So I would hope that they have factored into the stadium rebuild how much revenue we are going to, potentially miss out on. But as I say, I don't want to sit here and bullshit people saying that we're architects and city planners and things. Like, me and Monday are just very washed out footballers, to be perfectly honest.
You're not wrong there.
All right, Bilal is saying he's 54, which is correct. What have we got from Weed Bear? Ten Hag won't stay if his contract isn't renewed, and these players won't perform if they think it's his last season. I sense he's gone, like United virtually signalling it's a complete washout. I agree about the contract stuff, is that I think that Ten Hag has probably made a big push internally saying, like, look, love me or kick me, give me a new contract or whatever. I'm not sure about the players not performing. It feels a bit different to Ole, Mourinho. Like, I think some players in particular have put in the required effort and so on. I don't think he's been thrown under the bus by the players. Do you, one day?
I think he knows by now when you're inside the change room and on the training ground, you know who's got your back and who's not. So I think if he had a contract, say, look, give me 2 more years, he would say to the board, look, this guy, I can't work with him anymore. He needs to go. But while during the season, you got to work with these guys. You got to understand they're part of the squad. But he needs to filter out the bad guys, the bad eggs. And I think that's what he's done. The evidence is there. Sancho, Ronaldo, he's not afraid to get rid of players. He wants people that are going to work with him. You're either with me or you're against me, that kind of attitude. And I think he's shown that right already. The players will be behind, and the ones that left behind.
All right. Well, Siggy is saying, sorry, Sigmund, I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to call you, but all right, the judge is saying Ten Hag stays for another season, for sure. Bilal is saying that Nelson Muntz is Stefan Kuntz's cousin, which...
Remember him from Euro 96?
Yeah.
Commentator's nightmare.
And Monday, I'm nearly 42.
I've met Ed Mayhem. He doesn't look it. You look young, man.
All right, we got Big G in the house saying mash up de place, which I hope I've pronounced in a way that doesn't embarrass anyone. The notorious Big G. I like that. And we've got Anthony. Big up, lads. Did you see the changing room leaks yesterday? Yeah, like, Anthony, we talked about this earlier. I don't want to go on about like, we all know at Old Trafford, we all know as Manchester United fans that decades of neglect have left to a great stadium becoming a rotting carcass. And it's very embarrassing to see it out there. But the only thing I can say constructively about it is that with Ratcliffe there, like, he will have seen it firsthand, and they'll have to address it quickly. Well, I think it will expedite the process of a new stadium or a rebuild in their minds. It needs to get sorted soon. All right. Hello, Bart. Yes, there's an AI keynote happening right now, and because I think you're someone that's interested in science and large language models, I was wondering if you could just update me during the show as to what's going on, like kind of like, you know, their match reports where they're like 69th minute corner to Man United or something, play by play. All right, we got Andrew in the house.
Hi, Andrew.
Talks about the Rasmus stuff. Not yet, but we're going to. Totally inappropriate. My apologies to the judge.
You called him the Siggy.
Yeah. If Hoyland leaks are true, then that's bad captaincy by Bruno. That's interesting. All right, should we get on to our stories? As I say, I haven't prepared a huge amount today. I've just grabbed stuff off Twitter, to be perfectly honest. But the first thing I've got is a story that I found very funny, which is that Dynamo Bucharest are investigating whether their defender Edgar Lee, who used to play for Barcelona, made his twin brother Edelino play in place for around 5 games this season.
Oh, God.
And I've checked, Casemiro does not have a twin brother.
Oh, that's a funny story. I'll give you that. Where did you see that story? Where did you see it?
I saw it this morning on my way to work.
Where would you see a story like that? Is that like
on Twitter?
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Checking my phone on the train.
Did they put pictures of the brothers up?
Yeah, and they do. They look identical. Which I've always found it weird, right? Because there's I think I've spoken about the twins that played in my league, like where they're two central midfielders that are twins. But they have the same haircut and stuff like that. And I've always wondered if there's any pressure on twins to sort of try and make themselves look different. But this guy is exactly the same hairstyle, braids with some sort of coloured things in them. Forgive me, I don't know what they're called. But exactly, it looks like he's trying to look exactly the same, but that's because he can get a couple of games in the centre of defence for Dinamo Bucharest.
Imagine that.
Well, there were some marathon runners. There were some marathon runners that used to do this.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right. Jump in halfway through, and have a new lease of life. That's a really funny story. I mean, imagine pulling it off and getting away with it. You'd have to imagine the work you have to do. Remember, like the things you tell your teammates, the relationship you have with your teammates. They could say something to you that makes no sense because you haven't been around. So. And then the ability, would you have the ability if you're not professional? Is Edlino a professional? Did he go training or did he just turn up at the match day? That's really fun. I want to follow. Can we have a follow up to this story, please?
Well, all right. I will investigate later.
Let's follow this up. Yeah.
This is actually right. So Bilal is saying, do you remember Raphael and Fabio, the Silva twins, or whatever they were called? I know my mate Will has a conspiracy theory where he's an Arsenal fan and he thinks that Raphael and Fabio were sometimes one half was Raphael and then in the second half they put Fabio on and no one would notice because they're twins, which I've always quite liked that because you don't get a lot of twins in professional football. I can only think of those two.
Isn't it's funny, like what disappoints me is as twins or brothers when they get split up. Who's the guy? There's a guy who plays for Newcastle. He used to play for Norwich. He plays for Newcastle now. A winger, a light-skinned guy. He's got a brother. They came up through Norwich. Ryan, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Someone in the comments to help me out here. But he's got a brother, and they grew up together. And they played for Norwich, and they got up. And then suddenly, obviously, one's going to be better than the other. And this guy's at Newcastle now. He's a winger. He comes on sub sometimes. Sometimes even starts. And I was really disappointed when they split up. I thought, wouldn't it be great if they can continue playing in the same
Siamese or something?
Jacob Murphy, that's it. Jacob. Yeah. Jacob Murphy. Thanks, Lit TV. I don't know if they're twins, but they're very much alike, Jacob and his brother. And I haven't seen his brother for years. So I don't know what happened. Josh, that's it. Josh and Jacob Murphy. Are they twins, guys? Can you let me know? Because I've always tried to think, it's such a shame they're not in the same side anymore.
Well, I mean, Phil and Gary, I know they're not twins, but they played against each other. I think Pogba's brother played against us once with Pogba
for one of his French teams. That's true.
I always find it interesting when one brother plays for a different country.
Oh,
that's always something that I think I would struggle with.
Is it Thiago plays for Spain, doesn't he? And his
Alcantara, yeah.
And his brother Rafinha, does he play for Brazil? Or
no idea.
Yeah, Anyway.
All right, so look, that's twin content out of the way, unless anyone wants to talk about longitudinal twin studies, which I find very interesting. All right, boys, we got a database. That's just a picture of the database. Don't worry. Yes, Andrew, thank you. Kevin Prince Boateng and Jerome
Half
Boateng.
brothers.
Well, are they half brothers?
They're half brothers. They haven't got this. One of the parents is different.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because they play for, like Andrew's right, Germany and the Ivory Coast, possibly. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's Ivory Coast. Ghana.
What? Is it Ghanaian? Is it?
Boateng is a Ghanaian name. Yeah.
These two were not twins, were they? Frank and Ronald?
Yeah, they're twins.
Are they? They both played for Rangers and Barcelona and Ajax.
Ajax. They played for Ajax together. That's for sure. And then Ronald was at Rangers, I think, and then Frank played for Barcelona.
Frank went to Rangers.
No,
both of them played for Rangers.
No, that's not true.
Yes.
That's not. Do you want to bet on it? Bet.
Pride bet. Okay, I have a pride bet.
Yeah,
what's a pride bet? Do I have to do some cage dancing if I lose? Because I'm very up for that.
One of us will say I'm a sucker.
Okay, I'll say that. All right, check that in the comments.
So the question is, did Frank de Boer play for Rangers?
I think he did. I think both
Ronald
of them
de Boer
did.
definitely played for Rangers.
Yeah, Ronald de Boer, 100%. Yeah. All right. So Andrew is saying Frank was there. I'm pretty sure Frank
Put me on big screen. I'm a sucker.
No. That's just one thing. Don't worry about it. I don't need you to say that. What do you need you to say is, okay, so an Arsenal guy has put this data set together based off games this season. And I had a look at it because I found it quite interesting because there are some key findings for it. So on the left, we've got the things that correlate with good performance. And remember, correlation isn't causation. Correlation means it's a relationship to good results and things happening on the pitch. So it's not cause and effect. And then we've got the inverse on the other side, where things correlated with a negative performance happen. So when it goes well, we're going to start off with the team winning the ball in the middle third. Okay, so if we get a large amount of tackles or turnovers in the middle third, we tend to do well. When people carry the ball, we tend to do well. When we've got possession in the middle third, we tend to do well. And when we get a lot of set pieces, which dead ball passes, we do well. And for the players, when Kobe Mainu is dribbling, we do well, extremely well. If you notice there, it's the highest. It's the highest number there. So when Mainu is taking players on, we do well. Okay. Interestingly, when Amrabat plays and just does short passes, we also do really well. When Casemiro is fouling people, we do well. But I think, fouls are important to the game. And when Aaron Wan-Bissaka passes the ball well, we do well. And when Bruno is the guy that receives the ball a lot in the final third, we do well. So I want to ask you, Monday, does anything stand out for you there? Does anything surprise you?
First of all, I think, does this all have to happen at the same time? Or is just one of these factors have to be going on that we do well? Or does it all have to happen?
These are the things that predict a better performance. So the more of these things that happen, the more likely we are to get good results.
I would focus more on the team side of things rather than individual players.
Okay.
So the middle, just going through them quickly. So the middle third tackles, that's over the league average. If we're doing middle third tackles, which is usually pinching the ball and transitioning in that middle to final third.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that shows that's what we're trying to achieve. If we do that, we usually do okay. Obviously, we've got the ball near their goal and we can probably get a few shots off. Because we remember Bath time, we've had a lot of shots on goal at one stage. We were always talking about the amount of shots on goal we had. So I understand that one. Progressive carries, distance. I don't know too much
transitions.
About okay. Do you want to? I don't really understand that so much.
Okay.
Progressive.
So progressive carries is where you get the ball and you run forward with the ball. So there's two traditional ways of breaking a line. One is with a pass or one is with a carry.
Yeah.
So we know from our work on the eye test that when you are in an even like, do you remember emergency defending where you have either the same amount or one less than the other team? You have to give up the space and a player has to carry it. So what this suggests to me is that this is to do with transitions, where a player such as Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho will carry the ball. McTominay, yeah, without players putting pressure on them, because we're in a transition. Okay. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I was just trying to work out. I understand what it means, but I'm just trying to, how would that, make us play well or do well? Middle third touches, yeah, I get that, and you got more control of the play. And dead ball passes, I'm going to ignore that because our set pieces are poor. But if we got a little dead ball passes, it means we're getting a lot of fouls on us.
Well, it also means that we're like a dead ball passes could be like winning free kicks in attack and in defence, relieving pressure on ourselves. Like a set piece means that we're in control and we can set the team up how we want to. So you should always, like, the more set pieces you get in a game, the better organised you should be.
Yeah. So for me, the top one, the middle third tackles, sort of makes more sense to me as to why a team we would be playing well and what we need to do in that respect. But like we saw with the goal against Arsenal, we find it hard to sort of keep the ball for starters, and then get the ball off teams when they're bringing it out. We've sort of looked a bit poor, in my opinion, to closing things down. We're well off the pace in that respect. So if that improves, yeah, I imagine we become a better team.
All right. Piss off, Big G. He's given me lots of stuff that I don't like. He's making fun about talking about correlations.
He loves it, really. He loves it.
Yeah, I know he does, but I'm going to give him the spotlight here because that's a good comment. Darius, what is my opinion on all of this? Andrew, I'm not here to tell you what to think, my friend. You have to decide yourself. But I think you'll like when it doesn't go wrong, because I don't actually want to focus too much on the team part here. I want to look at the players, because this is fascinating to me. Onana, Casemiro, and Evans, if they are getting a lot of the ball, we are not doing well. And then, right? If Casemiro is our main distributor, we're not doing well. And Rasmus Højlund getting the ball in the middle third, which is essentially build-up play, we do not do well. And to me, Amonde, this suggests a couple of things. Is that our passing out from the back isn't good enough, because the more we're on the ball at the back, the less likely we are to perform.
Okay.
All right. It's looking at. Yeah, it's stunning to me.
Yeah, considering we think Johnny Evans is decent on the ball, we think Onana is good on the ball, but I think Onana's going to be having a lot of touches either way. And then the Casemiro thing, I get that. I think he rushes a lot of things. You always said, I mean, you picked out a long time ago about second phase play. It always breaks down because Casemiro wants to sort of ping balls and play first time balls.
He's a trebuchet.
Yeah. So I get that. And Rasmus, obviously, we talked about him yesterday, needs to improve. But the Johnny Evans one, I think a lot of people would, being fair, with the eye test on him, would say, okay, he's good on the ball, he keeps it well, he passes it simple. But I think that they've sort of, because we've lacked a left-footed centre-back, and he's the only one who can sort of play, even though he's right-footed, but he can play passes with left foot. I think that's maybe where we haven't played well, or haven't performed well when he's had so many touches, because he should be on the right side of defence. I think his left foot is decent, but it's not the best. It's not Martinez level or Luke Shaw when he was playing there. So this left foot, right foot, centre back thing, I think, is an issue, because there's been times that I think it was against Bayern Munich or one of the teams where I was watching him play, Evans, and he was getting in a position where he was forced out to his left foot, maybe intentionally by the opposition, and the passes were kind of 50-50 whether they're reaching his target. And I don't, I'm not dissing him, because he's got a better left foot than most of the players who are right-footed in the team. But yeah, I think Evans, even though he's done well, it's interesting that he's up there as having
well, this is more of a team. This is more of a team thing. Even though I'm talking about the players here, I think that this is more to do with the team, because Højlund can't control the ball. like, and hold it up. Yeah. We know that. Casemiro, like, he won't allow us to do second phase play. We know that. Like, we know he's going to launch it long. But when our defensive players are on the ball more, which is how you would consider that you control a game, because you control a game from the back, we don't play very well, which would suggest to me the work rate or the setup from the midfield isn't good enough. But it's probably time to look at some comments.
Yeah.
All right, but are Amrabat's numbers on short pass accuracy a little on the low side? I don't think that's short pass accuracy. I think that's that's the strength there. Also, it's strange that Maino has such a high percentage of takeouts. No. This is. I think that but this isn't. These numbers here, 0.61, are not about. I think that's a relationship between Maino taking people on as opposed to how many he takes on. So when our midfielders do well, hello MK, do we play well? Isn't that simple logic? Well, for God's sake, Andrew, like, no one's enjoying this, basically, from the comments, but I'm liking it. But what I have done is I've nicked someone else's conclusion from these stats. They're called Devil's DNA. I've never heard of them before, but I quite like what they said. And what they're telling us, that the numbers here, is that a high passing involvement of the centre-backs and Casemiro has a negative correlation, which is really weird. Okay? It's clear that in the current system, our good games are correlated with middle third tackles, blah, 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 medium length passes. And they think that this is a reliance on the steal in midfield and counter directly through long balls and carries. And then notice the important Maino and Amrabat on-ball action completions. So if we go back, essentially, what this all says to me is that we are literally just attacking from transitions,
right?
Like that, and the team isn't really balanced enough, because this is really weird about how the more on the ball we are at the back, the less effective we are as a team. It's very, very worrying me for this. And at least Big G is enjoying it. Data is his thing. Good for you, Big G. I thought you were taking the piss earlier, but I'm glad that someone's enjoying it. Whereas Andrew is saying that Darius can sometimes overanalyze. 92.3% stats are bullshit. No, do not clap him for that.
You know, it's funny. You got to give me news. That is funny. Andrew, take a bow.
No, Andrew, do not take a bow for a ridiculous joke. All right, let's move on. Unless there's anything you want to say about all of this on Monday.
I'm still trying to process it all. It doesn't really make sense overall to me. I agree with Emma. You got to simplify things. When our midfielders do well, we play well, and that's traditionally for midfield's the hub, isn't it, of a football pitch? And if you're midfield, you win the midfield battles, you win the game, as they traditionally say. So I go with Emma on that one.
All right. What have we got next? Easy Rider. Right.
Riyadh. Good one. Very good. I like your word game today, man.
Thanks. Cheers. Right. The Saudis in the last hour or two have been saying that they are looking for 10 top signings for their league, and Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes are on this list. Now, one name should delight you being on that list, but I mean, I'm going to assume everyone would take 30 million for Casemiro right now.
30 million? Wow.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, whatever, 10 million. All right, most people want him gone. But what I want from chat and from you on Monday is there a price for Bruno Fernandes that you would accept?
As Ted DiBossi would say, everyone's got a price for the $1 million man. And I would accept for Bruno. His age is 29, coming on 30, but he's very important to us. I think still, his commitment's good to us as well. These sort of characteristics you can't take away. He's a good captain, leader. He's the only, when I say good, compared to everyone else, there's no one else. You know, you guys trash Maguire. So he's captain. He's always gives as much as he can, whether you like him or not. I think he's a talented player, and I think he can go somewhere else. He doesn't need to go Saudi just yet. I think at his age, he needs to, if he is going to leave, he could go to a big club in Europe, or I don't think he'll be playing in the Premiership so much. Price wise, is there a price for Bruno Fernandes? I think if you're talking about 70, 80 million, I think you probably have to take that.
I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that. I genuinely are looking at plus 150 million for Bruno because I think it's so difficult to replace him with a player of the same quality, but almost impossible to replace his personality. Because when we talk about the floor of our team, like players like McTominay and Bruno bring that floor up, because even when they have terrible games, there's still work rate, application, desire, playing till the end, and so on. Where with a player like Rashford, there's a very low floor. Like if he doesn't score or do something, you're not getting a lot of off the ball work and things like that. So I also think that so you're saying 80 million for Bruno?
Yeah, I think you'd have to consider it. If someone offered 80 million for Bruno, you definitely have to consider it.
All right, then you take 90 then.
All right, 90 I would take 90 for him.
All right, who can you get for 90 million
to replace Bruno? I don't think you can, but you could change your whole dynamics of the team. You'd have to, because Bruno's a hard player to replace, as you said. There's no one like Bruno. I was looking at Odegaard's stats. Everyone says Odegaard's great, but he's got better data stats than him, assists and goal contributions, that kind of thing. So he's very, very unique, and we need a player like that. But if we are going to sell him, you want to get good money. 90 million, I think, is fair for a player of his age, because he's not going to get any better. But who's going to spend that sort of money? I don't know. And there are some players. Would they pay 90 million? Are you sure?
I'd absolutely.
I don't know, Bath, because I don't know if they have, because they haven't bought a player who's around 25, 26, world class yet. Every player has been coming towards the end of their career that they've got over there.
Look,
Benzema, the guy from Fulham, Mitrovic, I think he's their top goal scorer out there, but he's not renowned, is he? He's Serbian international. He's not a superstar. But even though he's top goal scorer. So I think they haven't really bought. If they had to buy someone like Bruno, who's still-ish in his prime, that would be the best signing they've ever done, to turn ahead of someone who's actually still got locked.
Well, they're going to go for Salah, I think.
You can understand that. He's over 30. He's coming up to 32 now.
Yeah, but he's also the best Muslim in the world, isn't he, at football? Yeah. I think they might even explore legal ways of seeing if they can get Pogba to play two or three seasons with them, serving his ban. This isn't about. Yeah, exactly. I would think that they would be looking for the best Muslim players in the world. That's what I would be doing if I was in Saudi Arabia. And the thing is that I also think that it's not about value for money for them. It's about prestige and sports washing, essentially. And they spend $1 billion on the golf, $1 billion on the tennis, probably $1 billion on the boxing. They wouldn't care if they can get Bruno, they'll get him for 150 million or 90 million. It's a drop in the ocean out there.
Okay, fair enough.
Right,
I want to hear the comments, because there's lots. It's really stirred people up.
All right, Bilal, we're going to start off with. He wants to keep Bruno. Big G, get in. I hope Bruno goes. Right, Andrew, we have to move on from Bruno and rebuild an identity. It's probably a bit more balanced. Big G's just having a lot of fun with the idea of Bruno going. We deserve better I think that's a pretty low ball offer for Bruno, 65 million. Amonde, Bruno is a terrible captain. And he takes 60 million. Bilal, 100 million. You would turn down 120 million for Bruno? No. All right. That you can't. I don't think there's a player in the squad that you can turn down 120 million for. But I would want 150 plus for Bruno. I'm thinking of Coutinho, who went for 150 million.
That's right.
I know it was a different time. All right. Come on, bro. He's greedy, shite, rubbish captain. When United win the league, chances of Bruno being in the team, Look, right. I'll tell you what, Andrew. I understand the point you're making, and I empathise with it, and so on. But I think that when United next win the league, that will be closer to us with Bruno in the team that leads up to it, because the target next season has got to be Champions League. And I think because then we can go and get better players and things. And I think with Bruno in our team, we have a much higher chance of getting Champions League, and that gives us access to pretty much anyone. So I think it's important to keep Bruno in the team. We can't sell Bruno at the moment without Champions League football. If we have Champions League football, then we can talk. But at the moment, he's our best route of getting to Champions League football, and that is the next step. We have to hit Champions League football in the rebuild, in my opinion.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Why do we call Bruno Bruno and not Fernandes?
Because Bruno is a fun name.
So what about Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle? What do they call him?
They call him Bruno.
They call. Oh, right. Okay. They call him Bruno as well. All right. Cool.
Yeah. Well, look, any money we get for Bruno that can go towards Wirtz, and I think a high price for Bruno, so we should consider. Right, so this is Florian Wirtz, who plays in Germany.
Leverkusen.
Yeah, he's meant to be very good, but is anyone that... I mean, we've kind of been burnt from Germany a lot over the last decade. Would you be up for taking a wonder kid from Germany and swapping him for Bruno?
Well, Havertz was playing for Leverkusen, and he was the wonder kid. And years later, people still question him. I think this guy's a bit small, plays in a good system. It works for him. No one was talking about him last year. It's just that he's playing in a good team. To transfer that over is a bit like that guy went to Chelsea. He's at Spurs now. He was smashing it. Red Bull. Yeah, Werner smashed it all Red Bull. Came to Chelsea and stunk out the place. So it's a difficult one. He'd have to come to the right setup and the right manager.
That's another really good point, because I think that we can all agree, regardless of what Big G and Andrew say, Bruno's been our most successful signing in the post-Alex era, hasn't he?
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that speaks a lot to his character, where we've had players that are better than him in Pogba, probably Alexis Sanchez, even Lukaku and stuff. Had like really top players come in. None of them have performed, but Bruno has, and I think a lot of that is down to his mentality. And I think he's driven us to Champions League. So these are whilst everyone knows I'm not a huge fan of how Bruno plays football, I think he's crucial for the team at the moment. What else have we got here? But would Bruno even go there? It's a good point, Emma. I mean, everyone has their price. If you said to Bruno, 3 billion, go and play with Ronaldo, he'd go tomorrow. So it's what Bruno's price is to go out there. Right. Incremental change is always overrated. Viva la revolution. This is a really interesting point that Andrew has made. So incremental change, Monday, is marginal gains.
Okay.
Right. So Brailsford is well known for thinking that changing little things adds up to a big change.
Yeah.
But United actually need massive changes in order to catch up, because every year City, Arsenal, Liverpool are getting further away from us. So we have to do double the amount to catch up. So maybe slinging Bruno off is the sort of massive change that we need.
Yeah, maybe. I think I do like the marginal change theory. I've seen it work. Obviously, with rowing and rugby and things like that, it does work. It's proven. So I would rather go with a slow, steady pace rather than running like a hare to the end of the race.
You're so safe for Monday.
Well, you have to go with things like it's like you. I've noticed with you, Bath time when we play football. I'm a safe footballer. If I play midfield, which I do quite often, I'm a safe footballer. You don't see me playing low percentage passes. Whereas you, I know with your passing ability, you would play low percentage passes more often.
Yeah,
you're a bit like a Bruno. amateur leagues.
No, I don't. I keep the ball above all, but I'm trying to move like opposition players around the pitch when I pass the ball, and things like that. But that's a different conversation.
True.
All right. He's creative and scores goals, though, like Bruno. This is Florian Wirtz. And Balada said, we've been playing without Bruno and have been much worse. Our goal output is definitely worse without Bruno. There's no doubt about that. But I do agree with Andrew. I thought our performance versus Arsenal was really encouraging and the best for a while. All right, let's move on from this, unless there's something else you want to say on Monday.
No, happy to move on.
Happy to move on?
I still don't know whether Frank de Boer played for Rangers, though. That's bugging me.
Andrew said he did.
I don't agree. Can someone please in the comments find out if Frank de Boer, the brother of Ronald, played for Rangers? That's all I want to know. Thanks.
Right. Do you want to read this out whilst I check that?
Okay, so this is Rasmus. Haaland has joined United from Atalanta for a fee of 72 million in July, having scored 1 goal in 10 games since he recovered from injury in March. Several Man United players share Rasmus Haaland's concern amid reluctance to pass to him. Okay, Rashford and Haaland have bickered a number of times this season over the winger's failure to service the striker. So Rashford's not giving him enough service, apparently. A United squad member told the Confident that certain players are seeking alternative solutions in the final third due to Haaland's lean spell in front of goal. United have scored 1 goal in the past 3 games. So certain players are seeking alternative solutions in the final third rather than trying to pass to Haaland because of his lean spell. So if this is true, there's a lot of players disheartened with this young man and not actually feeding him the ball. Something that I think we had an argument the other day on the channel about whether once he's fed, he scores. But people are getting disheartened with him, according to this.
Well, first of all, Frank de Boer played 15 times for Glasgow Rangers Football Club.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so not very, that's less than half a season, basically, but he was there. All right, so this is coming from Samuel Luckhurst, who is the chief football writer for the Manchester Evening News. And regardless of what you think about Luckhurst, he has sources. And this is very, he even explicitly states a United squad member has this has come through. Amonde, this isn't good reading, is it?
Certainly not.
Right.
We've seen it though on the pitch. I know Rashford with his body language and sighing and just rolling the eyes. I've seen that, and I sense there's an issue there. And then we heard earlier in the season that Rashford and Rasmus, the 2 R's. Rashford was saying that he's whack. I heard this a long time ago.
We think it's Rashford.
Yeah. So there's no smoke without fire, as it seems. So I think there is a bit of truth to this, but it's not about, I've played with players that I still play with players that make me sigh, and I know they're always going to do the wrong thing, and I know they're not going to be accountable, and I know there's no point saying anything to them because they do, they really pee you off sometimes with the stuff they do on the pitch. We're not in tune. There's certain 11 players on the pitch, and sometimes you're not in tune with certain guys. And you think, oh, here we go again. He's going to fluff it. He's going to mess it up. He's going to lose the ball. And they usually do. But I've got high standards on the football pitch, and I know how I want to be in tune with certain players. And if you've got that relationship with certain players, it sometimes clicks. Look at York and Cole. They've never played together before, but they kind of click. They're on the same page, But I think with Rasmus, because he's trying so hard and because he's coming, he probably wants to prove something. He doesn't want to back down and show any sort of weakness or anything. And then you've got a guy like Rashford, I don't think is the best leader. Having a go at him, it's not good. It's going to destroy his confidence. So there's a battle going on there. And I think Rashford, because he's got his backing, because he scored goals for United and his stock is higher, he's always going to win that. So unfortunately for Rasmus, he's got a lot, like we said yesterday, he's got to go away and rebuild his confidence and come back a better player. But if you're not getting respect, it takes a long time for, even in training and that, for players to turn it around. And you see a player like Eriksen, he demands the ball, he gets it, because people know, I want to be in the side in 5-a-side or in small-sided games because this guy keeps the ball, even in tight areas. People will still pass to him. But other players, you can see there's less confidence in people. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. So, Monday, in your years of playing football, have you ever got the ball, looked up, seen a guy and thought, nah, and then given it to someone else?
I will say this. Oh God, I don't want to say it.
Say it.
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Give fake names.
I can't say that. I'm going to say this. I don't do that. Maybe years and years. No, I'll be honest. I'm a team man. I don't do it. I will give you the ball because I want the same standards to me. There's times, yeah, that people don't pass the ball, and I say, look, I'm here. I'm set. And they say, oh, you had a man on you. But don't you think I'm a good player? I've seen that man on me. I know how to handle that situation. Don't, shirk responsibility by doing something you want to do, which is outrageous. I'm looking for a sensible pass. I've demanded it. Then let me take that responsibility if I lose the ball. I know there's a man behind me. I know someone's around me, but I'm still demanding the ball. You guys don't do that, So the question is, would I not give someone the ball? No. I would always give them and let them mess up and then say, after the game, they can't say nothing to me. They usually get frustrated.
I mean, in my experience, I played with a couple of guys I didn't think were very good. Like, obviously not. The team I'm playing now, they're all dreadful. But like in other better teams, and there have been times, certainly when we need something, when we need a goal or we're pushing, where I haven't given the ball to a guy in a good place because I don't respect him enough to use it properly. Like, wow. I think we're better. Yeah. Like
I just didn't say that. I didn't think you'd do that half time.
It's when we need to win. When we need to find a way to win, I know that there are some players that are not going to provide that. So there might be like a left back making a run outside of me. I know his delivery isn't good enough against like 5 men in the box.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give him the ball because that's not going to be the solution to us winning. And
you wouldn't know that, would you?
I wouldn't say it to people, but if I was coaching someone, I would say that like a player has to find ways to win. And one of the ways to find a way to win is knowing what players in your team can do and can't do. So this is why you throw Harry Maguire up front for the last 2 or 3 minutes, because Maguire can win a header, but you don't have him playing there on the 35th minute or something, right? Because he's not as effective as someone else. And for me, like I know the players that I play with because I train with them, and I know a guy with his back to a goal, he can't receive and turn. So we need to win. I'm not going to give him the ball. We've got to find a better way of doing it. Okay. I'm just going to read the comments before I make one more point. There's 2 things I find really interesting here. The first is that several Manchester United players share Rasmus's concern about him not getting the ball. Right? So so there's a split in the squad. But the other thing is that when we see total confidence certain players are seeking alternative solutions in the final third, I'm not necessarily sure that that's about giving Rasmus the ball in the goal. I think a lot of this might be Rasmus in build-up play, because we can all agree he's not good enough in the build-up.
Okay, fair enough. We're just speculating here with a story. We don't even know how much truth's in this, but I do get it. There is an issue with the player. I just hope he gets his confidence and settles into that change room and starts to get the respect.
Yeah, you got to earn the respect, though.
That's
the thing. All right, Andrew hates this sort of story, throwing Rasmus under the bus. That's true. There is another component to this, which I don't know how relevant this is, but Rasmus did an interview with the United Stand, which is a YouTube channel I'm sure you're all familiar with, extremely critical against a lot of our players. And I've always thought it was a terrible move for Rasmus to do this. Like, it was absolute idiocy and shouldn't have happened, because it legitimizes a channel that goes at your teammates. And to be honest, in your football life, your family comes first and then your teammates come after your family, because they're the ones that can help you, not someone in the comment section or a YouTube channel. It's your teammates that are going to be the ones that help you, and they should be respected. But right, Big G is saying, you can tell the team isn't happy with Rasmus. Look, when Rasmus scored the winning penalty against Coventry, only Eriksson celebrated with him. Was that embarrassment, though, do you think?
This is Big G's observation. He's seen something. Something. So, yeah. But I don't know. Something we'll have to look into.
Emma is saying, is it normal to bicker with your teammates, even fight with them? Just get on with it and work together for... It is, that is, Emma, you're completely correct. That is 100% on the money. But what isn't on the money is leaking it to even the regional press, as the MEN is. That is above and beyond and pretty disgusting in my view. Like, it doesn't matter if you think Rasmus is crap. You shouldn't be telling a reporter that a lot of people think he's rubbish. It's like, what good are you getting from that? Bilal says Rashi needs a slap. Andrew says spreading the shit around to deflect from them being shit. I wish Anana was as good as deflecting as the rest of the team, because I agree with that. I also agree with this. Bruno is captain. He should be laying down the law with the players. This would not happen under Bruce, Robson, Keane, etc. And Keane always tells a story about when Rude turned up to the club and he absolutely battered a ball at Rude, and Rude didn't control it. And he said Yorkie used to take them every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. And that's the kind of leadership that I like. And maybe that's what Bruno should be doing. He should just be giving Rasmus pelters in training, so that when it comes to game day, it's a lot easier. All right. To be fair, someone's been betrayed here. A squad member told a confidant, and that confidant turned around and told the press. Emma, I think that in the language of journalism, this is a direct quote from a United squad member to Luckhurst. Like, it's just all they've done here is given a degree of deniability to a player. Like, it's been told. Right, it's not just Rashi, Anthony, Garnacho, Bruno. These are all the players not passing to Rasmus. Who would you say is the biggest culprit?
I think Rashford. I don't think Rashford, like, sometimes he runs into areas which full of defenders, and he's, if he played the ball a bit more simple. This is one part of his game I've always had a frustration with. I just don't think he's got in the locker to be playing passes or bringing people in or setting man up. He should get more joy out of that. But he doesn't. He just wants to do everything. Jockey on his right foot and shoot. That's what he's looking. So I think he's the most guilty of this. The other guys there would always try to look up for pass.
Well, I mean, one thing that we have to remember is that we're bringing up Garnacho and Rashford as players that don't give it to Rasmus. When Rasmus went on his scoring run, Rashford was on the left, Garnacho was on the right. Those are the two players that he's played with where most of the goals have come from. So could this be Anthony? Could this be Kobe? Could this be about midfielders not giving him the ball or knocking it over the top? Are we focusing too much on the fact that he's wingers?
All I'm saying is, out of those guys, I think Rashford, he's not got that game where he's a team player. I don't see that. But yeah, it could possibly be. But I think Kobe is very unselfish. He plays like me and Valderrama. I love them sort of players.
I know you love Valderrama.
Yeah, just an absolute team man. Kobe, he doesn't care. He pay 1-2 off anybody or bring a man in. He doesn't care about that. So I don't think Kobe necessarily.
And look, Big G has reminded me of something as well, that like when Garnacho got in trouble, it was because he liked comment from the United stand as well. Right. I don't know what our next story is. It's about injuries, players hiding, score predictions. We've done an hour, so I think we're going to start off. I think we're going to end on the Newcastle game because we won't be putting a show out tomorrow. And if someone could be very kind and put in what the Liverpool Villa score is, I'd appreciate it very much. But right, tomorrow, on Wednesday and Monday, 8 p.m. kickoff. It's the last home game of the season against Newcastle United. What sort of reception do you think that the players will get when they say goodbye to the fans at the end of the game?
I would hope a respectful one. understanding that we're going through changes. If you've got an issue with certain players as a fan, you're entitled to boo. But I don't think when you get to a certain age and maturity, you just ignore it. Rather than say anything bad, just don't say anything at all. That's how I see it. We've had a bad season. Fan base know it. We're not in a good place right now. We need to turn it around. The most you can do is just applaud, a polite applause for the players. You're not going to be rooting for them and screaming and shout. Just give them a polite applause, but let them know we deserve better as fans.
Which players do you think would get the biggest clap if they came out 1v1, like one on, like if they came down a catwalk?
Well, like I say, sometimes fans don't really. And no disrespect to certain fans, but a lot of people go to games. Big up to Paddy. Remember Paddy? We used to have Paddy on the show.
Yeah.
He goes to a lot of games, and what he likes to see, what he gets off on, because just from talking to him, because he used to be on the show a lot, I don't think he really understood the sort of tactical or understanding about what positioning and that kind of thing. He wants to see someone putting a lot of effort in, and those are sort of players. I think the majority of fans will applaud people who put the effort in and show they're fighting for the club. So Dalot, Maguire, possibly Bruno, McTominay, Kobe because he's young and people like him. Those sort of players, and Evans as well, would get applause, in my opinion.
Okay. Right. Casemiro, can he play? After all the games we've seen with Willy Kambala looking like he's come back from injury, I mean, can you make an argument Casemiro to play this game?
If he's playing in midfield, yeah, I'll make an argument. He can't play centre-back anymore. If Willy's back, I was asked this question today, big up to Dr. Caspire. He asked that question. If Willy's back, he has to play centre-back rather than Casemiro. Casemiro, it hasn't worked out. Granted, he's gone in there, tried to do a job, but he just hasn't performed at centre-back. And if he plays centre-back any more this season with Willy in now, I think that's disrespect to Casemiro, because he must be feeling blue for the amount of bad performance he's had in that position, and it's disrespect to Willy, who's come in and shown that Willy would get an applause, by the way, because he knows how to get the fans on side with his come ons, and
he dropped some stinkers against Fulham, didn't he?
Yeah, I know he did, but you're going to have that as a centre back, especially a young guy like that. But he's shown a bit of passion, so I think he deserves the game. Casemiro cannot play centre back again.
But who would you drop? Let's say Bruno isn't fit, and we had McTominay, Mainu, and Amrabat. Does Casemiro get in?
Yeah, I think he gets in over Eriksen, to be honest, because
no, but Eriksen wasn't there. Casemiro, Amrabat, Mainu, McTominay. Does Casemiro break that up?
Yeah, probably get him ahead of Amrabat then. There's a pecking order, isn't there? Sorry, Dora's not here. I'm doing the puns, but there is a pecking order. There's a pecking order. Casemiro over Amrabat.
Amrabat played a decent game against Arsenal. I agree. I think he played a decent game, but I'm still not of the view that he is even a Premier League quality. Like he looks to be a mid-table Dutch or Italian player. Maybe a lower level Premier League player, but he didn't do anything to warrant getting dropped.
Fair.
Casemiro has warranted being dropped all season, in my opinion. But at the same time, I think that because he was man of the match and scored a winner in the Carabao Cup and won us a trophy, I would like to see him get some game time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the game to get a reception from the fans because he's off. And he's not many players have won us a cup final in the last 10 years.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Now, this game doesn't mean a lot, does it?
Certainly not. No. Newcastle are not going to get top 4. It looks like they beat us early in the season. Maybe we want to get revenge on them. But it's, like you say, there's not much to play for. It's just the players now have to get themselves ready and improve themselves to get a place in the cup final. That's what I think it's all about now. So young players especially will be, really trying to get a game and show something. Someone like Ahmad, who played the other day, he must be thinking, is there a possibility?
It's an injury concern.
Not again. Jeez.
Look, I'll show you. Like here, when I was looking at injuries, Ahmad's picked up a knock and has only recently returned to training.
It's so unfortunate, isn't it? You get him back in the side. You know, he's starting to play, and he could be in consideration for a cup final, and suddenly you get injured. He must be gutted. Man, that's disappointing. All right.
Oh look, Tyrone's here. Hello, Tyrone.
Big up, Tyrone. How you doing, bro?
And also, I thought this comment was quite interesting in relation to the game, which is that if you want to go hard in games like the cup final, you need the minutes with the game practice. So, with I mean, like, we know Martinez is desperate to play. We know that Bruno McTominay will probably be desperate to play. But do you think that we could audition, say, Wheatley, for example, the young centre forward, or Forson in place of Ahmed and Anthony for possibly a surprise cup final appearance? Or what would you do with our youngsters?
With Wheatley, I've been super impressed with him. I think he's someone who keeps coming on. Get little cameos towards the end of games. That suggests to me that the manager likes him. I think he can do something different to what Haaland is doing right now. I think he could start. It would be amazing. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be amazing if he starts against Newcastle in a game. Like you said, it doesn't really mean too much in the scheme of things, but it would mean something if you want to get motivated players for the cup final. So if you start Wheatley and say, go out, show the world what you can do, and put Haaland under pressure, and that will probably give Haaland a kick up the backside.
Rasmus, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, I keep saying the wrong name. Haaland. It will give Haaland a kick up the backside, and it will give Wheatley a whirl of confidence, which I think he's looking like he's ready to blow. Every time I see him come on the pitch, he looks like he's ready to blow up, man, and say, "Yeah, I'm here." So
I think I think the other important thing about giving someone like Ethan Wheatley game time is I think it runs right the way down the club, even to sort of parents that are considering, should we pop our kid in City or Liverpool or maybe Bolton or Wigan or Salford or somewhere. When you see a player that has performed really well at all the levels, getting playing time with the senior team, I think that inspires a lot of players that you can make it, because that first team must seem a very, very long way away from some 15 or 16-year-olds. But then they look at Kobe and they look at Folson, look at Wheatley, look at Willie, and think, do you know what? I could be there in 2 or 3 years if I apply myself. So I think it's really important that we always have a youth player that we're developing. And this season it's been Kobe, but I would like it to have been Forson, to be honest. Or like Kobe's just come in and become a first teamer. But anyway, let's have a little look at the comments before we finish for the night. We talked about the United stand earlier very briefly, Tyrone. I'm not allowed to discuss what I think about other channels on this channel because I'd get in a lot of trouble. But I'm very up for war with all of them. Name one and I won't like them. But I don't know. I've never seen Liao play. Right, where was the comment I wanted to get? Yes, if we get 7th and have to play preliminaries for the Euro Conference, it's embarrassing. It completely screws with pre-season massively. So maybe for the health of our team and for conditioning and things like that, maybe Ten Hag is going to go as strong as he can against Newcastle United to try and avoid all these worst Premier League season statistics that are coming out. We've already had the most. We've had the most home defeats, I think, ever now, and it would be awful to have another home defeat on that record. We've been double figures, which is unacceptable. We might need to bath time. Is this with the young players? I can't think of a reason why Bruno would go there. 80 million seems okay. This is for Saudi Arabia. And Andrew stumped me. The best Muslim player to play for Manchester United. I won't have Pogba.
It's got to be Paul Pogba, man.
He was the most talented by far, but was he the best? There's got to be someone else, man.
Well, better than Paul. Who else is Muslim? Not many. Iago, Ilgar, what's his name? Ilaga, this Nigerian striker.
Igalo.
There's not many Muslim players play for us.
Robin van Persie, 100%. Then if he's a Muslim, but I also don't like sort of dividing our players. They're Manchester United players, not Christians or Jews or Muslims. They're Manchester United players. Ethan Wheatley really does look like he could one day become the real deal. He's got all the attributes: quick, good in the air, quality first touch, and can strike the ball with both feet. I agree, Tyrone, but this is something that we say about every single striker. He's quick, he's good in the air, and he can shoot off both feet. I think what separates Wheatley from a lot of players that I've seen is I really like his pressing work. And that's really important because you can get a lot of chances from a good press. Look at someone like Firmino at Liverpool. Didn't score a lot of goals, but he was incredibly important to the team. If he can hold the ball up and he can run the channels and work hard, then I think we'll have a better player than Rasmus, to be honest. And Eric Bay, no. Yeah, best Buddhist. Who's the best Buddhist? Steven Seagal.
Good.
Put it this way, if we do end up playing the Europa Conference League, chances we will have the chance to be the only club in the UK to win every trophy available. Well, that's a silver lining to end the show with. Kagawa, he's the best Buddhist, apparently. Spot on. Okay, good. Right. I think we're probably going to end it there. I do apologize that I didn't have time to sort of prepare a show fully. And we've just basically given you the Twitter highlights that you can find on Twitter yourself. But I hope that we've made it at least interesting for you. Monday, do you have any thoughts or anything to add on tonight's show?
Yeah, obviously we play Newcastle. I don't know if it's televised or not, but we will be obviously trying to seek it out and watch the game. Fire in Newcastle belly. They've had a poor season. They got Champions League football. Their players seem burnt out, but they've got a talented squad. I think it'd be tough to get a result. We're talking about a prediction. I would think it would be lucky to get a draw at this rate. But the good positives would be seeing some youngsters come on who are motivated to try and impress. But yeah, we're at that stage now. We just want the season to end, get that cup final, and hopefully magic happens.
I think we're going to win.
Oh, wow.
I was really impressed with our setup against Arsenal. And don't forget, everyone kind of thought that Arsenal didn't take us seriously in things. Arsenal were incredibly scared of that game, and we also managed them really well. They're going for the league title and stuff. And I can remember that year when Liverpool were really pushing City. I think that there was a 1-1 or a 0-0 and Old Trafford as well, because there's still a bit of fear of going to Old Trafford. No matter what people say, it's still somewhere you don't want to go. And I think that the team, Ten Hag has made comments today, essentially sort of saying that, him and Rooney, we didn't discuss it, but there's been suggestions that players are hiding and don't want to play and things. And Ten Hag has kind of said that, if you want to play for the cup final, if you want to play in the cup final, you need to get minutes before it.
Right.
And I think that I think that with Amrabat and Mainu in the midfield, we're more compact. I think that Ahmad, although he didn't have a huge amount of output, he showed us that he's a decent player. I think a couple of reinforcements in defence, and also the pride of playing in front of these fans you've let down all season. They don't want to be part of the highest amount of home losses ever. I think that we could actually get a big score against Newcastle, and that's what I'm praying for.
You heard it first, guys.
Right.
Okay. All right, here we go, Tyrone.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. So this is this is in 5 days' time. So this is Saturday night, isn't it?
Yep.
All right. Are we? Do you want to do anything for it, or where are you watching it?
I'm going to be out that night.
Yeah, me too.
Music thing, but I will be watching it at the music thing. We usually get together. I have to turn down with the boxing boys. We usually go get a meal and go and watch the fight. But I'll be watching it while I'm out at a music thing.
And did you see this? Like John Fury?
Yeah, I saw it. Didn't. Yeah, it was whack. So John Fury and his boys are going that way. Usyk and his fan or team were coming this other way, and this one Usyk guy started saying Usyk, and John Fury sort of sped up to him and then gave him a from here headbutt, went bam, and absolutely basically missed the guy. Didn't even penetrate. You know, if you're going to headbutt someone, you go right for the nose, don't you? And didn't really, sort of didn't really do nothing with the headbutt. And the guy was like, "What?" And then
he
tried
cut
to go
himself.
Was he cut?
Fury was cut.
Oh, John Fury was cut.
John Fury was bleeding everywhere. After
Where was he bleeding?
Side of the nose.
So he headbutted him with his nose then?
Yeah.
Stupid fool. All right, yeah.
Like, it genuinely looked like John Fury had been hit and was wearing glasses or something. Like, those kinds of street fights.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I think Usyk's camp, you can see there's some serious guys around there that you don't want to do that with. And I think John Fury's been around him long enough to know who to, pick on. And he went for this guy and ended up looking stupid.
Yeah, but he's just a mentalist. I mean, the thing is, right, is that I want Fury to win. But the only reason I want Fury to win is because I think it's an absolute I think it is a travesty if we never get Fury. I mean, I still think Pacquiao Mayweather was a bit of a disgrace that we got it so late. They should have thought much earlier, shouldn't they?
I've got my own, I'm boxing, man. I don't want to go too much into that. The reason I didn't fight earlier is because PEDs. How can you have this little flyweight coming through the ranks and knocking people out? He stopped Miguel Cotto, man. It's crazy what he was doing. He was knocked out Ricky Hatton, stopped Miguel Cotto, stopped
that Hatton knockout is one of the most brutal I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's cold, disgusting. So clearly, Floyd Mayweather's thinking, why am I going to fight this guy? And no one's checking him out. Remember, he fought Eric Morales, and Eric Morales beat him in the first fight. Eric Morales was an absolute beast. And then
it was a dodgy decision, wasn't it? The second fight.
The second fight, he stopped him twice. He stopped in the second.
Yeah.
So he beat him on points first time around, which was deserved, Morales. This is when Pacquiao's coming up. And then Pacquiao said, "Oh, I don't like injections," before, because they were trying to test him. But then he's got tattoos. He doesn't. That's why he said he doesn't want to take any injections. For me, he was juicing. I'm going to say it clear. There's a lot of speculation.
It's Liverpool.
Yeah, it was out, like you would say, it was juiced up to the eyeballs, like Liverpool fat players. But that's why Floyd took his time, and then at the actual fight, Floyd put things in place to ensure that there was less chance that he would be juicing. And he come out and said, "I've got a shoulder injury, he had to have surgery." Floyd would have always beaten him, in my opinion. But going back to this Saturday's fight, I always wait for fight week before I make a prediction.
Yeah.
I want to see how they're looking, how they're feeling. There's a lot of sort of factors you can look at when you're watching them during the week and the press conference and everything else. I think Fury will win on points. But
he's going to jab him.
Yeah, he's going to use his size, leaning him. But not just that, because boxing is a business. If Fury loses, the only way Usyk can go is have a stupid rematch that no one really wants to see, or fight AJ. And we've seen that already. So for boxing, for what's best for business, if it's a close fight, I think they've already. This is why Fury's confident. Remember, he pulled out previously. He wants to have everything in place. Like Floyd Mayweather, there's a lot of parallels here. He's only going to come forward and fight when it's necessary, when he knows things are in his place. Because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't even know about, which is involved in boxing. So this is why Fury is now up for it. He's got himself in shape due to, he needs to be tested. Clearly, he's clearly, muscled up. You don't get that. I've got a bodybuilder friend. He don't get in that sort of condition just naturally, in my opinion, especially a guy that size. So he's got himself in condition. He feels like the judges will be on his side. Even the Turkey guy from Saudi Arabia said he wants to see Fury against or Joshua next. Yeah. So that says it all. If it goes to the judges, Fury's going to win.
I have to say, I couldn't agree more, because Andrew here is saying no way Usyk will lose on points to Fury. If it goes to points, Fury will win, regardless of what happened in the match. In the match, for me, because they, like Saudi Arabia, they must want that Joshua. I mean, that'll be the biggest boxing match for. I can't think since probably Holyfield Tyson. or something like that. It will be absolutely enormous. And Bilal has said somewhere, can't be bothered staying up late for the boxing.
It's not late.
Well, it depends where Bilal lives. Like if he lives in Singapore or something, it could be. But it's not late for us. I think like the ring walk is like 10 or something, isn't it? It's a really good time. Fury has to win by KO for Tyro. And the thing is, right, is that Usyk, I think, is a great fighter. And we know that Fury's, I think the match he struggled in most was it Steve Cunningham? Like
he won by the knockout in the end.
Yeah, but he found it difficult, didn't he?
It was what's his name? A southpaw Swedish guy who got stopped by AJ recently. He gave him a bit of trouble, and he's southpaw, similar size to Usyk, and gave Fury a bit of trouble.
Well, who's the Liverpool amateur? Who's the Liverpool amateur that did Fury?
David Price.
Yeah, like what? I've never seen like Price really sort of. I've never seen that fight or anything. Like,
it's on YouTube. You can see it on YouTube.
I might watch it after this. But was he a smaller guy?
No, David Price is actually bigger and taller than Tyson Fury.
Is he really?
Yeah, but at the time, David Price was the main guy for the British Olympic team, so he was the main man, and he's bigger and taller. But Fury was just coming into boxing and took him on, and he actually dropped David Price, but David Price got the decision because he was the David man. So about who's the made man, and I think Usyk team know if Usyk gets screwed over, no one's really going to care about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like that guy. I can't remember that guy's name now. The one who stopped someone with a punch that they said was below the belt when it clearly wasn't.
Daniel Dubois against.
Yeah, Dubois.
Okay.
Thank you. Like, but all right, we've got Big G saying that they're both technically good fighters. Fury will just jab and win on points. I don't know a huge amount of boxing, but I would suspect that Fury will take that kind of approach of staying out of the way and just jabbing and things, leaning on him, and then maybe go for it in the later rounds. But Usyk to me looks like a hell of a fighter, and I know we all talk about AJ and his bottle and things, but I mean, he spanned up like Anthony Joshua in that. Do you remember that when Joshua came in doing like the ring walk at like the White Hart Lane, and then that was embarrassing. But Amandre, I need you to tell me who's going to win.
I think, based on boxing business and what the forces are at work, I think Fury is going to win it and go on to fight AJ because that's what boxing requires and that's what's going to happen. But I do think it's going to be a very hard fight to score. Look, just Derek Chisora put it on Usyk and had Usyk, one lost on points, and it was kind of, people say it was kind of close. Then you got Daniel Dubois dropped Usyk going to the body, vulnerable to the body. But Bebov in the amateurs dropped him to the body, so there's a bit of vulnerability there. That's the big talking point. Will Fury get him in close and whack to the body without kind of rough him up, without hurt him? You got to get what it is with boxing. You have to cancel out everyone's arsenal. What Fury needs to do, in my opinion, is use his weight and get on him. He's right being lighter now, but I think you need to lean on him, get close to him, and just rabbit punch him, whatever. Just rough him up, take him out of his skill set, which we see against AJ. AJ tried to box him. That was the wrong thing for AJ to do. AJ's never been a boxer. He was getting outboxed in the Olympics 2012 by Cubans, and in the final,
was he?
Yeah, he lost a lot of fights. The Cuban definitely beat him, and in the final, he was close as well. He was getting outboxed. He's not a good boxer, but he tried to box with Usyk. And
that's a home crowd, wasn't it, as well?
It was Homo in London, wasn't it? So I think Fury's got to either box, if he's realising he gets touched, because he's going to get touched, and he's going to lose rounds, then he needs to sort of change it up and get rough and ready with him, like he did with Wilder in Part 2 and Part 3. It's going to be very interesting. I think Fury's going to win.
Wilder's just Rashford, basically, isn't it? He's just got like one move, of just sort of smacking.
Best knockout percentage of any heavyweight champion ever.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about this is activity of fighters, because obviously we're still kind of coming off COVID for sportsmen, where like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years was missed. And Andrew is saying, like, did you see the fight against Ngannou? Fury is done. Fury looked rusty as anything in that fight. Usyk has been the more active fighter during that time. I mean, Tyson Fury is one of the best boxers that Britain has ever produced. There's no doubt about that, I would say. Is there?
I wouldn't say he's the best boxer we produce.
One of the best boxers.
One thing I will say about him, he's always going to be hard to beat because of his size, because of his smarts as in psychological style of thing. Look what he did to Klitschko, coming in as a Batman suit, and putting him off his game and really getting to him and giving it all the
sauna story.
Yeah. It was, he's used the dark arts of the game to get results. He purposely didn't take the rematch because he knew you're going to see a motivated Klitschko. Then he went on a bender, put on loads of weight, and played again and came out of the game because he had power. It's not. This is all calculated, in my opinion. So him going into the fight and coming out with a cut, it's like, okay, here we go. I think that was calculated. Now he's ready to fight. It's because behind the scenes, conditions are set for him to win. Do you remember I'm not going to say his name too much, but do you remember who was backing him from Marbella group in Spain? Who was backing Fury, the big Irish gangster?
Oh, yeah.
So that's when Fury started winning, going to America, taking on Wilder. What are you taking on Wilder after coming back from that drug binge and everything else?
That's because no one wanted to fight Wilder, though.
Yeah, exactly. No one wanted to fight him at the time. So it was a good time to take him on. But I'm thinking, wow, you're brave taking on this guy after you've been out all this time. But the timing was right. He knew something. The gangster, was it Mulliam? Oh, I can't remember this guy's name. He's not involved anymore. They've got rid of him. But Tyson Fury is a very smart fighter because he picks and chooses who to fight, when to fight, to keep himself on side. He understands the business. The business will always screw the boxer over. He's undefeated as it stands. He's going into this fight. We're going to find out in the next few days by his persona whether he knows deep down he's here to lose or if he's here to win. And we'll soon see. If it's a close fight, I think they're going to give it to him because it's best for business. Tyson Fury to win, in my opinion.
All right. Should we end it there? Or do you want to talk more boxing?
I love boxing. I'd like to talk boxing all day. I mean, you love boxing too. But anyway, yeah, we can end
I don't know a huge amount about boxing. But what I would say is that Fury has always had the ability to get under his opponent's skin. We've seen that with I mean, I love his boxing interviews. Tyrone is an actor, I think, and I've always been surprised that directors and writers never talk about those interviews where what's it called? The gloves are off or whatever. Yeah, I always find them absolutely fascinating because it's two men that are competing against each other and things, and it's a type of truth and reality that you don't really see that often. And I think that Fury is always at a disadvantage with Usyk because of the language barrier. He can't get in Usyk's head as much because I'm sure Usyk speaks better English than he lets on. Yeah. Of course he does, but he doesn't let Fury do all of that. I fight for the Lord and all Fury's kind of theatrics, and I think that takes a large part away from the sort of Fury shithousing is quite incredible. I think only who was Let's Go champ that used to chase around Klitschko on
Shannon Briggs.
Yeah, Shannon Briggs, man, Shannon the Cannon. Love the gloves are off. It's amazing. Which is your favourite gloves is off, Tyrone? But I just
got to be Groves and Frotch, bit of push and pull,
a little bit of push and pull. Yeah. I like the one where he went, "I'll go through you like Imodium" or something.
That was laxative, wasn't it? It'll go through you like laxative. Derek Chisora and Dillian White, I think that was.
Yeah. It's a bit of a weird analogy. I like that's the bit. Yeah, he said it's for Frock versus Perry Groves. I know it's not Perry Groves.
He's ginger as well. Perry was ginger as well, wasn't he? Yeah.
I was calling him that. Yeah, Shannon Briggs. But it's I really, really hope that Fury gets through this fight and he delivers a comprehensive win. that can't be questioned, because
Yeah.
I'm so fed up with boxing these days that we don't get all the big fights and stuff. And I like boxing for two reasons. One is my dad used to have a videotape of Once We Were Kings, which is
When We Were Kings.
When We Were Kings, sorry, which is a Muhammad Ali documentary. which was
Rumble in the Jungle.
absolutely incredible. And like Ali obviously is someone who transcends boxing into other stuff, but like, and you would look at all the fights that they had then and things, and it must have been such an amazing time to be a boxing fan. And I do a lot of boxing myself, but just technical stuff. I don't have the heart to get in a ring and get beaten up. I do not have that in me. I'm not getting punched like for no money. But I just feel that we could have had an incredible era of Joshua Fury and Joshua Wilder and Usyk, like all of them fighting each other. And instead, we've just it's just been bollocks, hasn't it? For quite a long time. I thought when Fury when Fury Wilder happened, the first one, I thought that we might be having a renaissance of really big like boxing occasions, because they were all too scared to fight each other.
Yeah.
And then Fury just turned up and messed it all up. And now I just feel that Fury is doing what Wilder and Joshua were doing, picking their fights, not going in. And, maybe Saudi Arabia could save boxing by actually making them fight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Totally agree with you. I mean, it's a prize fighting, isn't it? It's prize fighting. If the money's right, then people will get in the ring together. Going back to, just going to make another analysis about these Ukrainians. So great Olympic boxers. Lomachenko, another talented fighter, he got apparently screwed over by Devin Haney. If anyone's seen that fight, Devin Haney was a young upstart coming through. It was a very, very close fight. I wouldn't say it's a robbery, but they gave the decision to Devin Haney when Lomachenko looked like maybe he could hit, because it was best for business. Devin Haney's on the way up. He's 24, 25 years old. Lomachenko's on his way out at his age, 35. By the way, well done. He beat the Australian in Australia the other day, stopped him in the 11th round. First time he's been stopped, Lomachenko. So he stopped the Australian guy. But just goes to show that if Lomachenko was the golden boy, he was backed by HBO, all these things, they still can go against you. This is why Floyd Mayweather always fought in Vegas. He wouldn't fight outside of Vegas. Roy Jones never went off and fought Malakeshki in Germany when he was unbeaten, a light heavyweight champion. He knew there's no point going for that fight. I'd end up, politics could get involved here. So politics, I always consider politics when we're judging a fight, when you shouldn't. On merit, I say Usyk could actually win, but with politics added and things in business as well, I think it's all for Fury to win the fight.
All right. Well, I think we're going to end it there because we've done
Cambosis. Yeah, thanks, Tyrone.
Cambosis. Yeah. All right, I'm going to let Andrew finish his joke. I once had sex with a boxer. Are we thinking that this is a dog joke?
Yeah, go on. I know one. Go on.
Was fantastic until he bit my leg. Yeah. All right. Good night, everyone.
Very good.